staying in contact. I'm London Mitchell. Shopping online this holiday season? Perhaps it is this year you're planning to make your first online purchase. Be advised, the scammers are everywhere. They could be in our email, in our social media, even tempting us with bogus websites. There has never been a better time than now to remind ourselves how to protect ourselves while shopping for those online bargains. I asked Lane Montz, president of the Better Business Bureau of Northwest Ohio, if there are warning signs that should make our spidey sense start to tingle.
Before we get into details, the online shopping scams and really all the scams that are prevalent in society right now, they're not just happening at the holidays. Yeah, we're paying a little more attention to them because it's the holiday season, but they're all year round, and the scammers don't really take vacation, and there's not really an off season for it. But yeah, we're going to be more worried about it now because we're doing more shopping, and that's going to create busyness and pressure. We're busy during the holidays. We got a lot of gifts to buy, and so you fall victim to scams, London, when you're not informed about them. That's the main reason, but you secondarily fall victim to them even when you know about them, but you're in a hurry. And that's when you let your guard down, and that's when you can fall victim, even when you know. So that's just kind of my preface there. But so yes, to answer your question now, to come back to your question, there are some things that you have to be aware of. You are doing more shopping. It will be hard to keep track of what you purchased online. It'll be harder now because you're purchasing more online. And so I really always recommend that if you're buying online this holiday season, I know this sounds kind of old-fashioned and hokey, but it's extremely effective. Keep a list of what you bought. Sewing machines / Target / Amazon or whatever. And that way, when you get emails and texts and phone calls about your package is delayed and you need to do this, or you need to give us some personal information, or you need to pay more money, you can check your list and see whether you actually did buy that. And even if you did, still don't open that link and still don't click that link on the email. Don't click links, and don't give login information or personal information to anyone, no matter what.
But so many of these scam emails look genuine. Look, they've got the Amazon logo, and they've got the same typeset as previous letters I get from Amazon. But it could be a scam.
That's called social engineering. They're disguised pretty well. But I can I can order business cards online, London, if I want, and I can get a business card with my name and a fake email address or a scam email address and a separate phone number on a flip phone that I'm going to throw away after a couple uses. I can get business cards made up that make it look like I work at UPS or London Mitchell International Incorporated or wherever. I can, yes, you do it online and they can fake you out, but it's always been the case that they can do that with letterhead and business cards as well. And people have always, had door-to-door scams where they're dressed up as one thing and they're not that thing. So it's just a technological twist on fraud. But it's nothing new. Pretending to be something you aren't is nothing new. Yeah, they do look real. By the way, when I'm talking about, the dangers of dropping your guard when you're busy, that happened here at the BBB just 2 weeks ago. One of our salespeople, our marketing consultant, got an email to her and said, here's the attachment. You're going to need to input your email, username, and password. Now, she has been trained numerous times about being careful, but she did it anyway, and they got control over email, and we had to fix that, and that took about a day and a half to fix it. And so she knew, but she was just trying to get stuff done, and like we all do, and so it was easy in a moment of weakness to fall victim.
So many people do fall victim. And as you said, it's the season. We could be going fast, looking for that good bargain,
Yep.
be fooled by what we think is a legitimate offer, but we really shouldn't be really embarrassed by that. What we should be doing is figuring out how to get out of the mess we put ourselves into.
Even say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So it's better to avoid the mess than to have to try to get out of it, because getting out of it is difficult. And you touch on an interesting point that I think maybe the BBB and I don't mention enough. I can tell you that the program director that works for me, Pam Ribka, she does about 110 presentations to seniors across the area every year. We call it Senior Scam Guard. And Pam also has a master's degree in mental health and counseling. And she reminds me, but you just also reminded me, that there is more than just a financial toll when you fall victim to these scams. I mean, that's terrible. That sucks to lose money, but there is an emotional toll. And it can trigger pretty serious depression depending on how much money, how hard it is to fix if your personal information's been stolen and you got to fix all that stuff and change all your credit cards and change all your passwords. Yes, those are very difficult times. But falling victim to a scam can be embarrassing. People take it very personally, and it can really trigger some pretty serious depression and related anxiety and other mental health issues. And I think maybe I'm guilty of not talking about that as much as I should. It is very human to fall victim to scams because humans are designing ways to trick you. And we've always been trickable, right? So no, you shouldn't feel embarrassed, but it is common that you do.
The best moves to take once you realize you've been scammed are what?
It depends on the scam, London. So if you gave personal information like a social security number and a login information, you're going to have to change all your logins and passwords. And do not keep your passwords on an electronic document like a Microsoft Word document in your computer, because if you somehow gave away or they got access to your computer, they're going to look for that document. They're going to copy all your data, and then they're going to be able to get into it and see all your passwords for all your accounts, and that's terrible. So if you do keep them on a Microsoft Word document, which you should not do that. But if you do, you can password protect that document, and probably don't choose the password 0000 or your birthday or your middle name or anything that people could get from other sources of information. I use a phrase. I use phrases like it's a little more complicated, but the phrase, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, right? I mean, you probably aren't going to choose that, but you get my point. And no machine's going to be able to crack that code. So password protect sensitive documents. And if you have been scammed, contact your bank, ask them for help. Contact your important financial accounts, ask them for help. They will probably have you immediately change all your login information. But again, if you've lost control of your computer and the only place you kept a list of all your accounts with their passwords and stuff, if that's the only place, you may not have access to it. So with all the technology that we have, you got to keep basically a written list somewhere in a drawer. I would recommend you might, keep it in a safe deposit box if you have one at a bank in case something happens to your house, but you got to have written documentation. I have all my passwords on a written piece of paper in a file drawer in my house. If I lose my computer, if I lose access to it, if hackers break in, if I let them in by mistake, I can go back and look at all my accounts, and I can begin working on resecuring those accounts, starting with my bank account, my retirement account first.
And do that from a different computer.
Well, you're going to have to. If you've lost control of yours, yeah, you're going to have to. Of course, you can call the police. I don't want to further depress people, but if you've somehow bit on a scam and you've lost, the money's out of your account, you're probably not getting it back. So that's why I say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You can report it. If you've given away your personal information, you're not getting it back. I mean, you still have it, but you're going to have to change things. There's not a lot you can do to track down the charlatans. It's not like the old days of the traveling medicine wagon where the sheriff could jump on the horse and ride down the medicine show, right? No, you're not going to probably get that stuff back. So you just have to be prepared to restart more safely.
Is it a good idea to maybe have one credit card that you use for online shopping as opposed to the one you use on a day-to-day basis?
That's a very good idea. I don't do that. Maybe I should. You have protections with credit cards and debit cards. Credit cards are a little safer than debit cards. There's some extra protections built in. Plus, if they're not tied to your bank account, a debit card is tied to your bank account. So if they get access to that, they have access to your bank account. And you're going to have to call the bank and have that card turned off and have them issue you a new card. But you can do that. You could keep a credit card just for online purchases. Best of all, London, it would be a prepaid card that you only use for online purposes, and then you would recharge it, and then it isn't tied to anything, and the damage is limited. But I like that idea. It's not one that I've used, but that's a good one.
Before making a purchase online, what would you recommend we do? Research the seller, find out what their reputation is?
Well, so first of all, I think it's important. Did you get to that website because you clicked a link in a text or an email that came to you, right? In other words, did it come to you rather than you going to it, right? So the starting point is, if you got an email or a text with a website in it, and many are legitimate, but some are not. So if you click that link, really it still came to you first. And that's how scammers mainly get you. Now, they do create copycat websites that look almost like Target.com, almost like Amazon.com, almost like eBay.com. So if you're going to those websites while you're shopping through your own efforts, not because you got an offer in an email or a text, but through your own efforts, you still want to hover over the website address up at the top and make sure, because when you hover over it, it will give you the true address, not the one that is the mask, so to speak, but the true email address or the true website address. And you want to look for HTTPS with the S. You want the S because that means it's a secure website. So copycat websites are not S's, so they don't have the S in there. Furthermore, you want to make sure it does say Walmart.com, because if it says wall-mart.com, that's a fake site. That's not Walmart's site. If it says walmart.co, that's common. They take the M off. Your eye doesn't always catch that. If it says walmart.co, that's probably a copycat site. So if you're clicking links that come to you, don't do that. If you get an offer that says it's from Target and it comes across your phone and you like what it says, or it makes you think that you might want to buy something, don't click that link. Go ahead and go to Target.com on your own and make sure you're at the actual Target site, and then you're safe. Now, that text may have been perfectly legitimate, but once you start dropping your guard and clicking those links for legitimate texts and email offers, you'll forget, you'll drop your guard and do it when it's a scam too. So just never click those links. Never give out your personal information until you've confirmed you're shopping on a real site. If you like the offer, go to the site through your own search and confirm you're at the right site.
Lane Montz is the president of the Better Business Bureau here in Northwest Ohio. His message to online shoppers: always exercise caution.
Don't be afraid to shop online. I do it myself frequently. I mean, I try to shop locally as much as possible because I care about supporting our businesses here at the Better Business Bureau. I mean, we've got 5,800 excellent businesses in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan, but not all of them are holiday vendors and merchants. So I do buy online. I do keep a list, and I just never buy and bite on something that comes to me, whether it's email, text, or phone call, that I didn't initiate the communication.
Thanks, Lane. That's our program for this week. We'll have more with Lane Montz from the BBB next week as we take a close look at the Better Business Bureau's naughty list of the top 12 scams of Christmas. I'm London Mitchell. Please join us next week as we continue staying in contact.